And Alexis Navalny's body shows signs of bruising, and it looks like this was a coordinated hit. According to witnesses, Vladimir Putin sent spies from the FSB, Russia's intelligence service, into the Polar Wolf prison camp earlier this week. They went around and disabled all the cameras so that when Navalny was murdered, none of that would be recorded. They then issued a well-prepared statement 2 minutes after his death was supposed to have taken place. Now, that would suggest that they knew he was going to die, which would suggest that they killed him. 7 minutes later, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov was addressing the country's press. Representatives of Gulagu.net, Gulagu.net, said, quote, "This rapid timing can mean only one thing. Everything was pre-planned and coordinated right down to the press release, minute by minute, second by second." And now Putin has arrested over 300 people in Moscow for laying flowers at Navalny's, at this little shrine to Alexei Navalny that has been, this popped up in Moscow. And his body is missing from the morgue. And it looks like they're not going to turn it over like they did, they let him go to Germany. Remember the last time he was poisoned with Novichok? They kept him for 2 days thinking that would be long enough for his body to metabolize all the poison and get it out. And then they let him go to Germany where they saved his life. Well, it looks like they poisoned him again, unless they beat him to death. And if they poisoned him again, they say they're going to hang on to his body for 2 weeks, which is presumably enough time, better than 2 days, to let the poison break down in what's left of his bloodstream. Navalny's spokeswoman, Kira Yarmash, said, quote, "Alexei Navalny was murdered. The whole world knows that the president of Russia personally gave this order, just as it knows that Alexei was never afraid of him, never stayed silent, and that he never stopped acting." There you go. This is an extraordinary moment, a truly extraordinary moment in our history and the history of the world. And one of the things that I want to get into about this is how Putin is playing this. I'll get into this at the top of the next hour with his new threats to use nuclear weapons and things like that. It's like these are, in my mind, these are signs of desperation. Putin's got an election coming up. And, of course, he's got it rigged. Now the country, for the very first time, everybody's going to vote electronically. So Putin can simply say, oh, well, here's how the vote came out. There will be no paper records. There will be no audit trail of this election. So, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Putin's going to get himself reelected. But his rule, I think, is increasingly being seen as illegitimate by the people of his own country. And, arresting people for putting flowers in Navalny's grave is certainly not helping his image any.